Before you begin watching this video, I would like to point out that this is a video log of my first DIY attempt at installing a Chinese diesel heater on my boat. It is not intended as an instructional video of how you should install one. Good morning, it's Saturday the 22nd of August and I've come over to the Swamp Duck today to begin the installation of the heater, the diesel heater that I have purchased from a well-known supplier. Most of the parts have arrived except some tubing, which is the warm air ducting, but I can install the vast majority of the setup. Then I just need to wait for those to come and finish it off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first of all work out just exactly where each part is going to be sited, and then I'm going to install each piece at a time, and I will film each bit at a time to show you how it all fits together. Obviously I'm going to edit and cut out some of the expletives because I must say I've tried to read the instructions and they're not the best. This is the first piece of equipment that I unpacked from the box, and this is obviously a 10-litre diesel fuel tank. Now it is quite large, and I've just looked at it and I think that I'm going to have to do a bit of manoeuvring. I've got a chain there which keeps the engine from going walkabout, and that's going to have to be incorporated into the tank here somehow or other, because there are some holes at the back, and I may have to just adjust the engine cover to accommodate the spout, but essentially it's going to go just here at the back of the engine compartment, and we'll be able to fill it from there. This is the exhaust pipe which was supplied with the kit. It's 60 centimeters long and it's described as stainless steel and flexible. It's not particularly flexible, not towards the end, so if you've got to do any bending there it's going to be a little bit difficult. So I've bought some of this. This is Eberspacher exhaust. It's obviously a lot better quality and it's certainly a lot more flexible. A couple of other things that I had to supplement the kit with. This is one of them. This is the outlet for the exhaust. You can't just go drilling a hole and sticking a exhaust pipe through the fiberglass. It will melt. So I've had to buy one of these. And again, this is an Eberspacher exhaust outlet, so it's the proper thing for the job. and as you can see, what happens is there's an air space there, so that fits onto the fiberglass, and the actual tube itself, although that gets hot, it's not going to transfer onto the fiberglass shell of the boat. So that's going to go into the engine compartment, which is open to the elements, so it's not going to pump exhaust fumes into the boat. And it's going to be fairly low down, because the idea is to try and keep the exhaust pipes and the outlet as low as possible in with the diesel heater on. The exhaust pipe itself is going to get hot, so the other thing I've purchased is this exhaust pipe wrap, and it comes with some gloves, because it's made of, it's got fiberglass in it, and it's quite irritating on the skin. So what you have to do with this is you have to wet it, and then, a bit like putting a plaster on a broken leg, you have to wrap it around the exhaust pipe, and then they give you some ties, some metal ties, to make sure it's all nice and secure, and that will wrap around the exhaust pipes here and keep the heat down. So this is the heater unit itself. It's upside down at the moment, but that's the outlet of where the warm air comes out, so that's going to have the ducting put on it, and then this side you've got an air intake, so you need to leave that uncovered. And then we have on the top here, we have this pipe here is attached to some flexible hosing and a filter, and that's the air intake. This is the exhaust, and that little bit there, take that off, that is where the fuel goes into the heater. So that has to be turned the right way up, and it's got to be sighted somewhere in here. Now it comes with a plate to mount it on, so that fits like that, and I'm going to have to make a little bit of a stand for it to go on, so I can raise the heater up as high as I can in this box. So that will help to keep the exhaust as level as I possibly can. So that's roughly where the heater is going to be sited. So it's away from the boat wall, and it's going to be helped to be supported by this framework which runs down the side here. So the heating duct will go out that way, and the pipe work for the petrol and for the exhaust will go out the back that way. Okay, so I have started to build a cradle for the heater, and I've also started to install the plate which goes underneath the heater. So the idea is I'm going to connect up the exhaust here and everything that needs to be connected underneath before I turn it over, and then it's going to slide along here, and it's going to be secured under these into these pre-drilled holes. So the cradle's not going anywhere. I've used one of the ballast bricks, and I've made a cavity here so that the exhaust pipe can go out there and the intake can go that way. So I want to keep them as separate as I can so that they don't come into contact with one another and cause any melting or anything like that. The exhaust pipe is now in place, Okay, so I've now got both the air intake pipe and the exhaust pipe fitted. Somebody suggested that when he bought this kit to get some different Jubilee clips because the ones provided are of poor quality. Now I've done it like this so that the exhaust pipe is kept separate from the air intake, because that's only a sort of plasticky foil paper covering. What you don't want to do is have any sort of crossover like that, because the heat from this would definitely melt it. So before I do anything further to this, I'm going to put some of the insulation around the pipe, because that's going to generate some heat. Just need to add the fuel pipe, and then I can then turn it over and get it ready to slide in place into the cradle and secure it down. So I've got some of the insulating wrap in place before it goes through the hole just here that I've made. This is the fuel line. You can see it's only a very thin plastic. When I had my boat safety certificate inspection a few weeks ago, I asked the examiner about these Chinese heaters and if there was anything that you needed to discard and replace in terms of parts, and he said most definitely the fuel line. You needed to have a rubber one. The reason being that the rubber ones take much longer to burn through. So if you're having to in effect an escape from a boat because of a problem, then it would give you much longer to do that. This is what you need: marine fuel hose, ISO 7840. So that's been quite a full day so far doing what I have done. So I've installed the heater and got it really secure. It's not touching anything. So if I just show you what I've done. So here's the heater, and I've fixed it in a cradle. It's not moving anywhere. I've also put a bracket here to keep it in place, so it's very secure. It's not touching the sides at all, and it's not touching won't touch the top, and it's certainly not touching the bottom, so it's really suspended in mid-air, and it's supported by a metal gasket there. So this is just the hot air outlet that I've just pinned on there for the moment. I'll show you that, and that's going to go through the hole there. There's going to be a Y junction here so that I can have another tube coming out this way into so it'll come out this side somewhere, so it'll keep the deck nice and warm. And then I've got the exhaust pipe, the new bit that I bought, and I need to sort that bit out next. I think that's my next job. Here I've got the inlet of fresh air. It comes with a filter, and that just slots on the end of the pipe there. And I've just been looking at the wiring. So when you get the heater unit, it has this female thing attachment there and a male there, and you get all the wiring. And it's quite simple because it just slots in, and it looks quite a complicated setup there, but you can only push it in one way. So, and everything, all the wiring comes off there, everything. So I'm just looking at what there is, and how much cable there is, and whether I need to get any more cable. So this is the wire that will go to the control panel, and there's quite a lot of that, so it gives me a bit of scope as to where I want to put it. My original plan was to have it down here somewhere, so all the electrical stuff on this side of the boat is kept together, but it might be a bit hard to see there, so it could be that I could maybe put it on higher up somewhere where I could get to it. And this wire here is the one that gets connected to the fuel pump. That's the other part that I need to work on yet, is put in the fuel pump and a fuel filter, and obviously I need to put in the tank. So there's quite a bit of work there to do. And then this is the negative, which will go to the battery. There's only a foot of it, so yeah, I definitely need to get a cable and an extension on that. So that's a trip to Halfords to get some cable in, and then it comes with a great big long piece of the positive cable and a fuse with a fuse in it. So I did wonder about that. So that just needs to be to have some rings on the end there so it can be attached properly to the battery. I don't know whether there's enough there to reach. I think there might be, because it's going to have to go all the way around the back here and by the bilge pump. It's got quite a journey to get to the other side of the boat, to the battery. So I have got some of that. I just need to get some of the negative wiring. So when you get this kit, you will need extra things, and I think a top tip for the day is definitely, when you buy these Chinese heaters, invest in some better quality exhaust pipe. So I can't really do too much more today. I need to pay a visit to Halfords, and I need to get a few nuts and bolts as well before I can carry on. It's Sunday the 23rd of August 2020, and I've come back over the boat today to do a little bit more work on installing the diesel heater, but I've brought reinforcements with me today. One of the first jobs I'm going to do today is to spray some of the exposed woodwork that'll be near to the exhaust pipe and the heater. I'm going to spray it with some of this very high temperature paint, which withstands temperatures of up to 500 degrees Celsius, so it just might help to protect some of the woodwork should there be a problem. It takes about 15 minutes for this paint to dry, but I'm able to reach some of the parts that I can't reach with other methods. That's going to help to keep some of that woodwork protected. Okay, so the next rather crucial job to do is to sight the exhaust outlet, and that's going to go up towards the back of the engine compartment, as close to the outside as I can make it, so that the fumes are not going to come anywhere back into the boat. And it's going to be fairly low down as well, to try and keep the exhaust pipe low down, to try and avoid that problem with the condensation. So that's my next job. When it came, it didn't come with any form of gasket, so I've made a gasket. It's actually a sort of oval shape rather than a round shape, so that will also act as a bit of a template as well. So I made that out of some rubber. And then the other thing that I've been told is a really good thing to use to seal that is just to use some silicone, because silicone resists heat quite very well, so that can be used to protect the wall of the boat from any transfer of heat. So that's my next job, is to do that. It's going to be quite fiddly because there's not a lot of room. The engine is in the way, so I'm going to have to go from behind it in the little cubby hole that I've just sprayed. That paint is now dry, so I can get in there and do that. So it's going to take me a little while to get in there and do that job. So I've now drilled a series of holes, so I can cut that out with a saw, and that should be roughly the size for the exhaust outlet. There isn't really anywhere else I could sight it. I wanted to get as low as I possibly could. That should be okay. I well remember this method of working as a young child, watching an old black and white movie of a train robbery where the robbers broke into the guard van by drilling a series of holes in the back of the seating compartment, and that's how they got into it. So I've always thought of that when I do this kind of method. There's the hole cut out, and there are the 3 holes for the bolts as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is just line that hole with some silicone sealer, and I'm going to put some sealer on the back of the outlet itself, just to give it a really good waterproofing and heat proofing. I now have the exhaust pipe installed, and I've sealed it all round. And there we have it on this side, and that's made a really neat job of that. I have another one of these which I bought, and I'm going to put it around here, and that's going to be for the fuel line. So they're all these are outlets all in a row, and if I could find something for this, a little surround, I've seen some in wicks that would neaten that up, so they all look fairly decent. So the job is to put in the muffler, the silencer. Now these silencers are really designed to be on the outside, because these are clearly made for things like caravans and motorhomes. But here it's got to be inside the boat. Now they're not exactly a really good tight seal, so what you need to do is you need to buy a marine exhaust muffler. You need to buy some of this. This is Holt's exhaust assembly paste, and what this will do, it will make a permanent seal which is guaranteed, and it will make sure that there are no harmful fumes that can come from the joins. The exhaust pipe is now being joined to the outlet, and there's a Jubilee clip, and I did buy a packet of different ones from Halfords, and I've got to say they are much better than the ones that were supplied with the kit. And I've also used the Holt's exhaust assembly paste, so that was set and dry overnight, so that will make a good seal there. And I've used a bracket here to keep the pipe away from this part of the boat, and there are a couple of rubber seals there as well, so that the heat won't transfer to the bracket. Exhaust pipe is now more or less suspended. So I can't do very much more today. I need to leave time for the exhaust joints to set properly.